All right, let the exercises begin. Prepare thee thyselves. Pretty sure that's not correct. Old English, but you know what? I'm here to teach Greek, not English. Okay.
Leave your English at the door.
Who wants to take the first one? And I can make this bigger if you would like.
It's not the bigger, it's the finding the verb.
Let's see. I can do this one.
All right, take it away, Adam.
So it's tain phonein, atu, akuis. So akuis is akues. Well, sometimes I feel like these change. Like sometimes E, sometimes A.
No, it's always A.
E-I is A.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been saying it wrong.
Makes the same sound as Ada.
Okay, so I've been saying it wrong this whole time then.
It's okay. You guys are gonna do that for a while.
So akues. So
Akues.
akues. Sorry.
Akues. Think acoustic.
Acoustic. That's a good one.
Same root.
Acoustic. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. So akues.
There we go.
So that's first person, or sorry, singular, second person,
There we go.
which would be you are, and then
You are what?
hearing, listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have tain phonein, which is the voice, direct object. So you are hearing his voice.
Hey, good job. Good job. Yeah, some of these, like, it's getting harder to find sentences in the New Testament for you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm supplying some words here for you. All right, who wants to take number 2? They're leading in, they're deciding.
Well, I want to look at it before I volunteer.
Isn't number 2 in the homework?
Could be.
I think it was on homework.
Could be. I didn't check.
So if you did the homework.
Yeah, but that was on Tuesday.
This is the real test. Can you do it now live?
Under all the pressure.
I don't know what I can't take.
I'm gonna call on someone soon. I'm feeling it. Now there's not as many people.
Yeah.
Ashley sits in the front, and she just hopes I don't call on her. It's too bad I'm not live streaming.
Okay, I'll try it.
All right, Zach, take it away.
So, tain agapein tu theu on ekete.
Let's go back to that real quick. What's that last letter? Ooh. What's our last letter there? It's a kappa, right?
Is that a kappa?
Yeah.
So ook.
Yep.
Ook. So it's like no or not.
Yes.
Okay, so
What's our verbs, Eric?
okay, so the love of God. The love of God, no. The love of God, not. I don't know what it means.
Okay, what can you tell me about it? If you don't know the meaning of the word, can you at least try to give me, like, what's its, what other information can you tell me about it? Give me as much of the parse as you can.
It's got ete, which is plural, second.
Right.
Yeah, plural seconds.
Right? So we know it's a second person plural, and is it active or middle passive?
It's active.
Active, okay. So you got the parse right. We got present active, indicative, second person plural. And then what do you think? Remember, so we've got ekete, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like echo?
Correct. So we know the root is echo.
Okay, so
Very badly written echo. I'm gonna try. We're gonna try to put my palm on it like I was doing. Wish me luck. This cancerous monstrosity. It broke again. Yes. I'm so excited. I want to throw my computer out the window.
Jeez.
Why is it doing that? I used to know.
the love of God. The love of God, not. Well, echo means have hold, right?
Yes. So here's a tip. Whenever you have a negative particle like ook, a really helpful tip is to have a touch screen that works. It's actually a really extremely helpful tip if you're thinking about it. So, with why are you like this? Repair you. When you have this, translate the sentence without it first.
Okay, the love of God hold.
You have it hold.
Have a hold.
Okay, so it's a second person plural. So how would you translate that?
Wait, what did you say?
It's a second person plural. So how would you translate that?
Second person plural.
Yeah.
The love of God holds.
Well,
Or
what is this? It's second person, right? So it means it's you
the love of God, you hold.
or have.
Yeah.
So basically translating it without the particle.
You have.
All right. Now
You have the love.
you have the love of
You
God.
have the love of God.
So now we have the negative particles. Let's plug that in. It's negating the verb, right? So how would you smooth that out in English? Because it's basically, it's saying, ook, you do not have, right?
Okay, yeah. So you do not have the love of God.
Correct. There you go. There you go. Yeah, sometimes the negatives can be, some of those adverbial things in Greek can be like kind of hard to fit your brain around. So when you're dealing with questions or negations like that, really helpful to translate the sentence without it first and then kind of plug it back in
Where it makes sense.
where it makes sense. Yeah. Okay, who wants to take number 3?
I guess I'll do it.
All right, Dan.
Okay. Urkatai, Kurios, Ton, Dulan.
Okay.
Okay, so the verb is exomai is the lexical form.
Excellent.
Urkomai.
There we go. There we go.
Urkomai. And
That's what's the rest of our parsing?
let's see. It is. I had this earlier. It's third person. Middle. Singular.
Correct. Archomai.
So, it's, he is coming, the Lord of the slave.
Is that a singular or a plural?
Slaves.
There we go.
Of the slaves. The Lord of the slaves is coming.
There you go. Yep. Is coming or comes or however you want to put it. Any of those. is
Well, I'm
typical.
still in the
That's interesting.
very literal. Yeah, that's a. What's that really say?
The Lord of the slaves or Lord of the servants is coming.
Okay.
Actually, I think the rest of it is he comes at a time, when they don't expect.
Oh, that
okay.
portion,
Okay,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I had to break out little tiny.
No,
Little tiny.
we all appreciate that.
Alright, I guess I'll do this one.
Yep.
Ginoskete.
Genoskete.
Ginoskete?
There we go.
Sorry. Ta. That's Pneuma?
Yep.
Pneuma. Okay. Tu Theu. Okay. So that is Tu Theu is of God.
Hmm.
And spirit, so it'd be the spirit of God. And then Ginoskete.
Genoskete.
Skete.
Genoskete.
Skete is you understand, or you all understand, or you all acknowledge,
Understand is close.
or acknowledge.
What does gnosko mean? That's the root word here. Gnosko.
Ginosko. is. I mean, I thought it was I understand, I acknowledge.
Understand is okay. Yeah.
What's
Probably
the-
more accurate. I know.
I know.
I know.
Okay, so it'd be. Oh, where are we at again? Oh. So, gnoskete. Toe. And toe is. And, or, but, right?
Ta? No, ta is a definite article.
This top.
Remember, it's the neuter article. Think back to your second declension nouns for a moment.
Oh, yeah. that's
Remember
right.
your nominative and your accusative.
Okay, so that would be the spirit then.
Yeah.
So it would be. Okay, so then it would be you know the spirit of God.
Yep.
Or
And
you
that-
all know the spirit of
And
God.
Okay, good.
what's the parsing of gnoskete? You want to parse that for me?
Yeah, so that would be second person plural. And then that would be active, indicative, present. Right?
Yep. Present, active, indicative. And then what's the lexical form?
Gnosko.
Okay. Good job. All right, who wants to take number 5?
I'll do it. So, Erkitai e Basileia to Theu. Is it the kingdom of God is coming?
Yes, it is. And just that, not a, but hey. Hey, Basil.
Hey, sorry.
Yeah,
Hey.
reading mark. But otherwise, yeah, perfect. And we've already parsed Erkitai, so I won't make you do that. For just smoking it off the board that way, Zarek, you can pass.
I like the way they like. It's kind of weird and it's hard, but I like the way they put the sentences in different, so it makes you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like in English, our word order is like very concrete. Not in Greek. Not in Greek at all. That's one of the reasons why we know, actually, that the New Testament was written in Greek and not translated from any other language, because it just reads like natural, normal Greek. And we have tons of translation Greek out there, like of the Septuagint, things of that nature. We know what it looks like when Hebrew Aramaic is translated into Greek, and this ain't it.
Is do you know if modern Greek is follows the same or non-pattern?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I know that modern Greek readers and speakers can learn ancient Greek pretty easily. That's what I've told. So I know they're not totally different.
And one more thing about that is modern Greek as hard as ancient Greek? Like, is it the same paradigms? Is it the same?
Some of the paradigms have changed. There are things that exist in the Koine period that don't exist in the modern period anymore.
It's kind of like sayings in English that we don't. Words in English we don't use
Yeah.
anymore.
So we'll just,
like eventually, I forget. There is like certain cases that just like not cases, certain verb tenses that just disappear over time. I forget which ones they are though.
Yeah.
I want to say the subjunctive is one of the ones that, and the optative, which you guys haven't learned yet, is almost gone by the Koine period and then disappears by the modern. And some words change meanings, like in pretty dramatic ways. Like for instance, the word for punishment in Greek now in modern Greek just means hell type of place. So there's been some semantic migration over time. But I don't really know too much about modern Greek except to know Koine is pretty different.
Okay. So if I take a cruise and go to Greece, it's not going to help me a lot.
teach the way.
Well, if you decided to read modern Greek after ancient Greek, from what I understand, it's not that big of a lift. It's
Okay.
not that hard to go from one to the other. Same with classical Greek. If you want to read like what Homer wrote, you probably with a dictionary and like a good grammar could sit down and like stumble your way through Homer after taking some Koine Greek, but you'd have a serious hard time.
Okay.
That's why actually back in the day, most students went to college knowing classical Greek and Latin already. So a lot of grammars are designed for students who already knew Homer's Greek to
yeah.
transition to Koine Greek.
Okay.
Okay, so who wants to take number 6?
I guess I'll do it.
Okay.
Tain hodon
Hodon.
tauteo taufeo
To Theu.
tu theo.
To Theu. Yeah, epsilon's hard. It doesn't make an A sound, it makes an E sound. Theu.
Tu theo. Didaskes.
Didaskes. Close.
Way. I think I got that one right.
Yep.
And Mark 12:14. Those I got right. Okay, so the verb is didascase
Yep.
from didasco,
Right.
and it is case. Second person, singular, present, active, and so
Say it's indicative. You guys haven't learned the other words yet. But you know it's indicative.
yeah. So it translates to you, singular, are teaching the way of God.
Correct. Correct.
Are you teach the way of God?
Correct. Okay. Who wants to take 7?
I guess it's my turn.
It is.
Let's see. Krene ha theos. Sorry, wait. Krene ha theos. Is it theos?
All right. It's theos.
Theos.
Remember
The.
that epsilon makes an e, not an
Yeah.
a, an s. So it's the. And omicron is just always off. So
Yeah.
you have theos,
Theos.
and it's not. It never makes a diphthong with those two. So.
Okay. So it's Krene ha theos. Ta. Krupta.
Krupta.
Krupta. Tone. Anthropone.
Yep.
Okay, so.
And I've given the definition in the case there with the parentheses of Krupta.
Okay, so hidden things. Okay. So, obviously, the lexicon for Krene is Kreno, which means I judge or I condemn.
Correct.
And then A.
There we go.
A
There we go, Al.
Oh,
now
Tracy,
now
you
we're talking.
You know how I pronounce, instead of out, I say oot now? Okay, so that would be he condemns, he searches, so that's first person, singular, third person, and it would be, since we have ha theos, it would be God, so it would be God.
What's the rest of the verb parsing now? We know it's present. What
Yeah,
would we
so
have
it's
to do?
present, it's active.
And then what's our mood?
Our mood
I
is
love
You only learned one.
indicative. I was like, wait.
You only know one.
Is that a trick question? That was a trick
It
question.
was. No assuming in this class. You have to prove that you know.
cats.
So it would be,
Can I tie her?
Oh yeah.
and then tone anthropone
Do this. There.
would be of men. So tone anthropone is of men.
Yep.
So it would be, so obviously God. God is the subject in this case. It would be God. He searches hidden things of men.
Judges would be more accurate, but yeah.
Or yeah, sorry, he judges the hidden things of men. Yeah, not searches.
Yep.
That's a different word.
And you could smooth this out to the
Because they're
secrets
amazing.
if you want to, because the secret's a hidden thing. But hidden things is more literal. Crypto, actually, where we get like cryptic from.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
in English.
Yeah.
So, all right, who wants to take number 8? This one's a little bit. This is a little bit trickier because you only get 2 words. The less words there are, the harder.
So,
the harder it is.
is it like the dead ones arise? Are risen?
What? Parse the verb for me, Zarek.
Okay, so a guy pet. It's from a guypo I raise up. It's
A guypo? Where are we getting the P sound?
oh my gosh, a gyro or a gyrette.
And what sound does this make right here?
A gyro.
A gyro, there we go.
It's gonna be a minute. Oh
Oh
man.
my gosh, I gotta look back. What is this word? I've been doing Anki, but
You like my backpack there, kitty cat?
It's funny, these words are like polar opposites of each other.
okay, so a gyrette. The et is its second plural.
Yep. And what's our lexical form?
Um,
Not a gaypo, we know that.
is it?
We know that for sure.
Is it a gyro?
I've never heard of a gyro. What is that? What's that?
They
Epsilon
pronounce it
Yoda make?
gyros. By the way. Just kidding.
I don't.
What sound does Epsilon Yoda makes, Eric?
Oh, a gyro. Sorry.
Mm,
Gyro.
no.
Fray. A.
Hey, there we go.
A gyro.
A gyro.
A gyro.
All right, I accept that answer.
I actually have had to correct myself on that a lot because I automatically do.
I'm gonna have to repronounce all my words. I
A
even wrote the
gyro.
pronunciations wrong.
So a gyro, is that right?
It is.
A gyro. Alright.
I've let you guys slack a little bit on the pronunciation. I'm coming after you now.
Usually, you never accept questions as answers, but you're
And it's the
accepting.
second person plural. You said, Eric. I'm pretty sure. I
Yeah,
heard that.
second person verb.
And what's its tense? What's its voice? And what is its mood?
Tense.
Yes.
I think it's. Is it present?
Yes.
Yeah, it's another trick question.
All right. And then what's its mood? Or rather, what's its voice? Sorry. What is the voice? Is it active, middle, or passive?
Active.
Active. Correct. And then what's the mood?
Mood. What do you mean?
Is it indicative, imperative,
Indicative.
subjunctive? There we go. All right. All right. The gyro. We have a present active indicative, second person.
I can't figure out what
PS is.
gyro means.
All right, yeah, now you gotta find out what the lexical form means. You can identify it though. That's actually what we're shooting for though, right? You know what the form is, which means if you had to look it up in a dictionary, you could.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're trying to get at. I'm trying to give you the tools that when you see it in the text, you know what it is, you know how it's functioning. Even if you don't know the definition, you can go, because there's 5,400 something.
Well,
unique
it
words.
was raised.
It was raised.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
A gyro.
we have a second person plural. Y'all are raising, or y'all raise. I accept y'all as an answer, by the way. On some
So you all raise the dead?
yeah, I mean, what don't we have here in this sentence?
Wait, what did you say?
What are we missing in this sentence before necrus?
Or necrus? Oh, we're missing like
The article.
the article.
So, and I also kind of gave the translation already.
But at is kind of like, but at is like the or.
No, and
No.
eta is just telling you the second person plural. So we have y'all are raising
Yeah, you all raising the dead ones.
dead ones.
All raising dead ones.
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, you can already feel how, like, in English, that doesn't make sense, right? There's this natural, like, gravitational pull to put a definite article there, the dead. I think if you translated it for me that way, like an exam, I'd probably give it to you.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to train you guys to watch the article.
Could it be dead ones are rising?
Because that's just an active, which means, and this is an accusative, right? So necrus is the object of the gerita.
Oh yeah.
So that means that, and it's a second person plural, so the subject is actually y'all. You know, so you could write that in there. Right? Y'all are raising the dead, or raising dead ones.
Gotcha.
Yep. All right, we got two more, folks. Number 9, who wants to take that?
I'll do it, but
All right. And
I think all of these have been active.
all is
I was gonna say, if that's a word I know, I don't recall
it is.
seeing
It
it.
is.
Is this sentence like?
so all is
actually good?
action. Oh, come on, computer. All is this word. It's Allah,
Oh.
which we have learned. It's just that when Allah occurs before a word that starts with another vowel, the
alpha
alpha
drops.
drops off, and
Ah.
you get this apostrophe here. So,
Thank you.
So.
and that's fairly true for a lot of conjunctions and particles that end in vowels. They're followed by something that begins with a vowel. You might see the vowel drop off because it's really hard to go, you know, Allah. Hey, ugh, like it's like that's a murder on the voice, right?
Take a left and into it.
Absolutely. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's go to the verb. No. Mene.
Yep.
Lexical form meno.
Doing good.
It is
Dan's cooking over there.
present, active, indicative,
I didn't even have to ask.
plural.
Is it plural?
Oops. No. Third person. Singular.
There we go. From Menno. All right.
Meaning remain, or somebody remains. He remains, and this he, she, it. To theo.
To theo.
No. To theo.
Theu. What sound does epsilon make? It's an S sound. It's theu.
Theo.
Theu.
Theo.
There we go. There we go. To theu.
To theo. Okay. So translating it would be yet the wrath of God remains.
Very close. The wrath of God remains is correct, but we got Allah. Not quite yet.
Nevertheless,
But it's
So this is the
adversative.
first one I've seen that like
It's an
actually is just nice.
It's a true adversative. Like you could in English, right? You might have nevertheless or yet used in an adversative sense, but really it's better to translate all as but.
but all that does translate is but yet.
Sometimes, I mean, like it would be yet if it meant the same thing as like but in English, you know, yet we use has a broader semantic domain. It's almost always correct to use but with Allah.
Okay.
But it's like a minor thing. Otherwise, solid translation.
Some of the some of the the vocabulary, I find it easier to learn the third or second or third.
Meaning
Meaning?
just kind of sticks. Yeah, and you're in the ballpark. You say, "Yet the wrath of God remains." If you put that in the original context, right? You're coming out in English with basically the same meaning. There's this other idea here. Yet the wrath remains on this person. In this case, I think when you don't have all that context, it's better to just go with like the gloss, which is the first potential meaning. But that's like a best practice. It's not like a you got this wrong kind of thing. I'm trying to encourage you guys to have good Greek habits too, not merely to go with what's a passable answer.
It would be easier if there's not 50 words for but.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. So I'll open up a portal into the true horrors of learning Greek for you guys for a minute.
Oh.
The Greek conjunctions do not map over one-to-one with any English conjunction. So you know how like chi and de can both be and. Tet, tau, epsilon can be and. But in Greek, they all do actually mean different things from each other. It's like chi really, there's a whole field of Greek they call discourse analysis, where you're trying to fit a paragraph together and you're looking at the conjunctions and asking how do they put all these sentences together. And chi will bring oftentimes like parallel statements. They call it a coordinating conjunction, where chi will bring two things together that are like basically apparent, equivalent value. He sat down and he ate, right? Chi would be your typical word there. But de really brings the narrative forward. De can mean and, but it's not just and, it's like and something, and it's usually being used to introduce something new or something important or a logical conclusion. And that's why it can also mean but, because it's really bringing in something new and moving the argument forward. And that and the content of what it's bringing in will determine whether that's an and or a but. And Allah is just usually a hard contrastative, just but. And so you can sometimes smooth it over into other things that make better English, but really it's bringing in an idea that stands in contrast to what just came before it. And so I kind of debated, do I want to tell you guys some of this? I found that really helpful for me for understanding the conjunctions, but it is technically like an advanced Greek thing. So like, if that is like, don't tell me about that. Some students are like, yes, tell me everything. And some students are like, please don't tell me anything more than I have to know. So
At this point in time.
but you guys,
Yeah.
you guys like to grill me with questions, so I'll give you good answers. If you want to know, I'll tell you.
Speaking of which, 10 has de.
That it does. It does.
Isn't that like at?
No, de can be and or even or but.
Or and, right?
And then with men, it can do other things. So I gave you a freebie here. Heteron is modifying namon as an attributive adjective. You guys haven't learned adjectives yet, so another. So just treat it like the English word another.
Okay.
With what follows, and it's in the same case as namon. So
Naman is law.
I bet you know about that. Namas, Anamia.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know other versions of it. Heretical versions of
Yeah.
it. So Naman, law, another law. And then we have Blipo, which is obviously first person singular, active, indicative present. So it would be I see or I am seeing.
Mhm.
And then we have de, which is but and or now. Isn't it now as well?
Maybe. I don't remember offhand.
So it'd be but I see another law?
Yep. Nailed it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is in Romans 7, right? So it's
Law of
Paul's great
death, law of
discussion,
life.
but like I see another law operating within me. Yeah.
Lost in or the law of the letter.
There you go. All right, we finished all the exercises. So, good job, guys. You guys are doing great. I look forward to grading some quizzes. I will turn this thing off now and put it out of my misery.
I look forward to the next 20 chapters.
You'll be going for a while. Yeah, I mean, we'll finish up in August, and then, God willing, we'll try to do a study on 1 John, and we'll start learning about more of the advanced Greek syntactical stuff. So your next chapter, let me grab my textbook here, and we can just talk about that briefly. Obviously, we're going a little long, so I don't want to take up too much more y'all's time.
Yeah, but we had.
But chapter 6, we're going to be dealing with imperfect indicative verbs. And that's not to be confused, like, strictly speaking, with imperfective aspect, although this is one of those wonderful, this is a rare moment of Greek being nice to us. Imperfect verbs do have imperfective aspect. So, hooray!
Yay.
It's not like the aorist, which has perfective aspect. So, yeah, in this chapter, we're going to get into our first genuinely past tense verb here. And so, as you know, time is a small aspect of tense in Greek, but it is an aspect of Greek. And so the imperfect is going to be our first exposure to that. And you're going to see, eluan, elus, eluen, eluamen, eluata, eluan, and then you'll, eluamen, eluu, eluata, 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 eluamatha, eluesta, eluanta. There's already a memory device available for this paradigm. It's the Methodist Onto one that he has. You'll need to memorize both of those paradigms. It's helpful too, you'll be introduced to something called an augment, an indicator of past tense. This is important to get this right. 6.6, some morphology on augments, because you're going to see this with the aorist. You're going to see this, you'll actually see it on perfect participles and stuff like that. So you're going to want to understand how these vowels interact with each other. There's a little graph there of like this plus this turns into this, or, so basically, the long and short of it is, when you're making an imperfect to indicate the past tense, the typical thing is that an epsilon is added to the beginning of the word, so an epsilon prefix. But as the textbook's going to show you, there are going to be some words that already begin with a vowel. And so what will happen then is typically, instead of adding an epsilon prefix to those words, the vowel that's at the front lengthens. So when we talk about different vowel lengths early on in class, there's actually a reason for why we're paying attention to that. That's like take akuo, for example, that first one there. In the past tense, it becomes akuon in the imperfect. So the alpha becomes an eta. And this is not just lengthening by itself. Plummer is showing that it's essentially what happens with vowel contraction, where these two vowels are added together, and that's what happens. You get that lengthening. And it can happen with an E class, an A class, or an O class. And so the E class and the A class typically just become eta, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are some instances later where you'll get some funny behavior, but we won't worry about that right now. And then, of course, Omicron will become Omega. And there's some other information in there where they'll explain about certain augments, like with echo and things of that nature. And he explains how that works. And oftentimes you'll see that weird behavior from verbs that doesn't follow the rules that we know actually is following the rule. It's just that the root of the verb historically is different than the root at the present time. And so there's kind of like that memory of what that word is in Greek, so to speak. And so at an earlier state of the language, it functioned differently. So you get a little historical linguistics here. I love that kind of thing. Some people are like, please God, make it stop. I'm like, tell me more.
So that would go harken back to the classical.
Or even a time before that.
Oh, okay.
It could even be a more ancient state of the language that we don't have written attestations, like
Oh, okay.
They sometimes discover these things. They can conjecture, like, why is it behaving this way? Well, if this existed in the root previously, this would explain it. And then you can look at other languages in the same stream. So it's a Proto-Indo-European language. You can look at parallel languages, and sometimes those historical forms are actually preserved in other languages. And so you're like, oh, look, there it is.
Wow.
So Greek, for example, is related to Sanskrit. Many people don't know that, but Sanskrit and Latin and Greek are all from the same family. And so it's not unusual. Like, I had a guy in my class who was a missionary in India, and he recognized vocabulary words in Greek from the Indian dialect he spoke. Like Pinot, the word I drink in Greek was the same in Indian. And so whatever dialect he spoke of an Indian language, there's a ton of different dialects in India. And so some of that common memory is still around. And so English and German have that kind of relationship where we have some common ancestors, and we have some cognate words that it's not as if like English morphed out of German so much as we all came from the same stream. We kept some of those words and they mutated a different way. Hebrew and Aramaic are like this, where there's certain consonants in Hebrew and Aramaic that swap, but the word is the same. Like 70% of the vocabulary is the same between both languages, but sometimes there's spelling differences and things like that. So you'll see some of that. He'll give you the paradigms for all these things, and he'll talk a little bit about how the word "oo" is used.
Say that again?
Pardon?
He'll talk about what?
He'll give us more information on the paradigms, and then he'll talk about in 6-7 how the word "oo" is used, a negative particle. That would be very helpful for you guys. We dealt with a little bit of that, and then he's going to deal with what are the irregular masculine nouns, which I call hybrid nouns, just a terminological difference. So you'll get some information on that. You already memorized one of those words. You saw it on the quiz. And so you'll get some parsings and stuff in the chapter. I didn't write my parses out apparently. I probably did it. Knowing me, I probably just looked at it visually and satisfied the requirement that way. But so yeah, so basically you'll be learning more about past tense. You'll be learning a little bit more about how the words fit together, or how the words are constructed, I should say. And he'll give you some more information on tense form and meaning. But the big thing is memorize these two paradigms. You will be required, as usual, to produce one on the quiz, and I'll never tell in advance. And one of the nice things you'll see is that some of the patterns you're learning will carry over into other things. So that will be nice.
So there are actually 3 paradigms with the masculine nouns?
Yeah, you don't need to memorize that per se.
Okay.
Memorize what?
In 6-8, you have irregular masculine nouns. You do not need to memorize that.
Yeah, because we've already done that.
You learn that vocabulary word. And that's why we memorize the article with the noun, because then if you know it's ha mathetes, you know it's a masculine noun and you know it's irregular because you memorized the article and the ending. But you know all these endings, right? You know, ace, oo, and you can see there's like mathate 2, mathate 2. Well, that one's normal. And then you get right back to to mathate, now you have that combination. So some of these are just irregular. Hoi mathate, right? Greek ain't fair. You just have to be aware that can be a thing. The upshot for you, though, and again, when you encounter these things in the Greek New Testament, will be that you will have a dictionary, and the dictionary will tell you if it's irregular.
I feel like on the irregular, like the ending kind of gives it away more than the article sometimes.
Yeah. And so you look at a sentence, and you'll be like, I have a masculine article, I have a feminine ending, and I don't have any other nouns. That can be an indicator you're dealing with a hybrid. If you don't know the word, though, it's usually best practice to look it up in a good dictionary. And by the end of this class, I'll give you guys a lowdown on what dictionaries you should consider using. Like, Strong's is free online, and Strong's is ancient. Like, it's like from the 1900s. And it's okay, but there are way better lexicons out there. Thayer's is another one that's free, and again, Thayer's is real old school.
So have you looked at Blue Letter Bibles, interlinear?
I haven't. When I look at letters, I choose Logos. But
I just wonder if
That's the one I look at too.
I think Blue Letter
that's
Bibles.
what I'm doing in church service.
Blue Letter Bible's fine. I'm pretty sure it's probably either using dollars to donuts. It's either using Thayer's or Strong's, because those are available for free online. They're public domain.
Okay.
And it's fine. Like, it's not like they contain false information. It's just old and out of date, and there's a lot of there's more nuance. Like, the standard dictionary is the abbreviation is BDAG, short for Bauer, Donker, Arndt, and Gingrich, and it's like an early lexicon of like Christian literature or something like that. I forget. BDAG's pretty easy to track down. It's expensive, and it never goes on sale because they know that if you're a serious Greek person, you will buy BDAG. But it is a treasure trove. and it is the best lexicon by a country mile for Greek. No two ways about it. It is the best. It's the standard. And it's been a project in the works for over 100 years. Like Bauer, Donker, Arndt, and Gingrich are the men who have worked on it. Bauer was the original in the 19th century who did Bauer's lexicon. Donker, Friedrich Donker, I think is his name. He's still alive today. He gets second billing because he's done more work on that lexicon than anybody except Bauer. And so like they've been updating it and working through it. So it's on its third printing. It used to be Bauer, Arndt, Donker, Gingrich, Bagged, second edition, and then before that it was just Bagg, Bauer, Arndt, and Gingrich. And the difference between like Bagged and BDAG is not huge. You could probably pick up a pretty cheap copy of Bauer, Arndt, Donker, Gingrich, like $30 used, and that'll do just fine. It'll do just fine for the most part. It's better to get BDAG in the long run, but if price is an issue or you just want something to use now until your Greek is like super kung fu level, Bagged is fine. And sometimes like I got a free copy from Bob Nakaoka before he left of Bagged. I've owned BDAG forever, but he gave me the second edition. That was kind of nice. It's nice to kind of compare and contrast between the two. Sometimes.
Sounds
good.
Nola, maybe it was Nola, might have been me, said as we get better at this, we ought to, how Charles asked someone to memorize a verse or memorize a passage, and then we ought to do it in Greek, and then
Yeah, that's an awesome way to
recite it in
improve your
Greek for the congregation.
I used to have some sections of the New Testament memorized in Greek, but I got lazy. I used to have all Romans 3:21 through 26, and part of Romans 1. There are some sections of Greek that I've studied so many times that I just naturally memorize, like
Sure.
John 1, NRK and ha logos kai pros tantheon and ha logos kai theos and ha logos. Like I just know that offhand because
That's a good one to know.
Yeah. Good job, Zarek. I know you're not joking.
He's like, ditto, bro.
But yeah, memorizing whole passages in Greek, what a great idea.
But I think that would be kind of neat. It really wasn't Nola. I mentioned it to her. She thought it would be a good idea too.
Yeah.
But
I think it's a true.
I'm not ready to do it certainly, but as we
You will be.
Yeah.
You will be.
And if several of us go up together and lock arm in arm and say it together, I think there'd be less chance of us
Messing it up.
fainting on the stage.
I could sit in the front row and every time you mispronounce something, I could stop you. Just like you're in class.
You're like, it's A, not
It's
E.
A row. It's look, Dan. It's theos. It's not theos. All right, good job, guys. As always.
Oh, I'm in your shot.
And do not forget. To
So are you taking me?
I'll do that.
Alrighty. Here's my.
This was actually way easier to set up to than the projector. Let me tell you. Oh, yeah, if you want to turn it on.